Àbẹ̀yẹ náà ti jẹ́ sá kúrò. Àṣẹ ń gbóhùn mi. Gòbé.
Hello, salaam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Salaam alaikum warahmatullah. Please, when are we starting the program? Sorry. Ilé tó ń wá sójú pé ní. Bẹ̀rẹ̀ náà, àbí?
ṣe ti reason tí mo ń pariwo látà ká ń gbá ti dé gbà ṣáà ní ti sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ìfọ̀nà wọ́n ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ pé àwọn àgbà ìtì ẹ̀ leave this cleaning me alone. Wo mama wo bí kí date kò ń fún ọ fi ṣe. Brian. Ní ìsìn ẹ̀kọ́ ti máa wò lókè báyìí sí. Ṣé 10 minutes tẹ́ dé la fẹ́ ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀? Láti 6 tí mo ti kí ṣubú yìí mo ti ń sáré pé mo ti délógún ẹrú mo ti dé ibi mo ti délé ní lórí kìíní gbogbo níwájú kẹwàá pọ̀ ní tẹ́. Àwọn àlejò sàn. Ẹ̀wọ̀n obìnrin jáde program wa ẹ̀ ó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sọ àwọn adé láfẹ́ kakura so ibi ìlàfẹ́ ló fún studio. Ṣàwọn pé webinar ni online so ìpò lọ́tí ń shoot ẹ̀wọ̀n àwọn ará Ìbàdàn la máa kakura. So òkè bẹ̀rẹ̀ gangan ni viewing center tó máa wò through YouTube ọ̀tọ́rí èmi kọ́ wọlé tó bá ti pè wá fún Quran. Assalamu alaikum.
Program starts now.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Jubair Opemi Animation. Yeah, I'm a student of SS2 Commercial Department. I'm the main anchor for today's program. And with me here is the co-anchor. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Saziat Mayolara. I am in SS2 as the department. I am also the co-anchor for today. Please, Jomo Akbayami, can you tell us what today is all about?
First of all, I will welcome you all to the annual program of the 2IMA. The topic is the World Day for the Prevention of Child Abuse. 2IMA is joining millions of advocates around the world in the prevention of child abuse. And we are on a 3-day program. Can you tell us about the 3-day programs?
Well, 2IMA have 3 days for us. The first one is on Friday, which was held yesterday, Jumat. Today is webinar, right now. Then tomorrow is awareness work, which will end tomorrow. Thank you for your back to you.
Now, the theme of today's program is your role in ending child trafficking. Every child deserves your shield. Now, the person that will be handling today will be starting the program in full, and the person handling opening prayer for us will be Abdul Rashid Adeoye, the National Secretary, the Young Muslims Association, 2IMA.
Please, we need your attention.
Is security. So the state of the security in the nation. How practical are security?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to start this year's event, which is the World Day for the Prevention of Child Abuse. I will pray to Almighty Allah that as we have started the program yesterday in peace, may we end it also in peace tomorrow. And we also are asking Allah to also bless today's webinar for us, because we will be engaging. We've invited an erudite scholar to come and explain to us about the theme of this year's World Day for the Prevention of Child Abuse. We pray to Almighty Allah to bless our endeavor today and to make it easy for us to be to benefit, wholeheartedly from today's program, both the organizers, the lecturers, and all viewers that will be joining us across all our social media platforms. We also use this medium to pray for all child across the world, from Nigeria to other African countries, to people in Gaza, and so every part of the world. We pray to Almighty Allah to bless all the children that we have in the world and to also make them more useful and more fruitful in this world of ours. We pray to Almighty Allah to be with every one of us, those that are watching us now, and to make us to have a fruitful engagement at the end of the day. Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah bil alamin. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Malik yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim. Thank you very much, Jubair, for having me for the opening prayer. Then I'm going to hand over back to Fauzia. Over to you, Fauzia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our opening prayer master. I am putting back to Ibadan zone for current presentation. Please, you can go on for the current presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much. That close the opening prayer. Now I'm handing off to Ibadan zone. Please go on with the presentation. We need it right now. Thank you.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن ربك يبسط الرزق لمن يشاء ويقدر إنه كان بعباده خبيرا بصيرا. ولا تقتلوا أولادكم خشية إملاق نحن نرزقهم وإياكم إن قتلهم كان خطأ كبيرا.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Quran 17 verse 30 to 31. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. Indeed, your Lord extends provision for whom and receive. Indeed, concerning and do not kill your children for fear of poverty, We provide for them and for you. Indeed, their killing is ever a great sin.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú orúkọ náà, ọba àjọkẹ́ ayé àṣàkẹ́ ọ̀run. Dájúdájú Olúwa rẹ̀ á máa gbòòrò ìpèsè fún ẹni tí ó bá fẹ́, á sì máa díwọ̀n fún ẹni tí ó bá fẹ́. Dájúdájú ó ń jẹ́ olùmọ̀ olùrí àwọn olùjọ́sìn rẹ̀.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A cikin Alƙur'ani mai girma, a cikin suratul Isra, Allah madaukakin sarki yana cewa lallai Ubangijinka yana shimfiɗa arziki ga wanda yake so, kuma yana hukuntawa. Lallai shi ya kasance mai sani ga bayinsa mai gani.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون.
Again, in Quran 66, verse 6, Allah says, "O you who believe, protect yourself and your families from fire, whose field is people and stones, over which are appointed angels, harsh and severe. They do not disobey Allah in what He commands them, but do what they are commanded."
Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ẹ̀yin tí ẹ gbàgbọ́ ní òdodo, ẹ gba ara yín là àti àwọn ènìyàn yín níbi iná tí ó jẹ́ pé àwọn ènìyàn àti àwọn òkúta ni a fi ń kùn. Àwọn màláíkà tí ó ní ipá àti agbára ní olùṣọ́ rẹ̀. Wọn kì í yí àṣẹ Ọlọ́run tí ó bá pa fún wọn padà. Wọ́n á sì máa mú àṣẹ tí a bá pa fún wọn ṣẹ.
Ya ku waɗanda suka yi imani, ku kare wa kanku da iyalanku wata wuta, makamashinta mutane ne da duwatsu. A kanta akwai waɗansu mala'iku masu ƙarfi, ba su saɓa wa Allah ga abin da ya umarce su, kuma suna aikata abin da ake umarcin su.
سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. National coordinator, Dr. Lukman Aminu. We'll be having it by Dr. Tauba.
No, not doctor. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now we'll be having the opening speech by the national coordinator, the Young Muslims Association, Dr. Abdulghani Adelopo. Please go ahead.
Please, we need your attention.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على خاتم النبي وإمام المرسلين محمد المصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم وبعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. It is with great pleasure that I welcome all viewers and the whole world on today's occasion, providing us the lead into why the TYMA, the Young Muslim Association of Nigeria, decide to be part of the World Day for the Prevention of Child Abuse. It is a pleasure to champion the cause of the oppressed and less giving significant personality of the world. By Islam makes us to realize that our children are our potential. Allah says in the Holy Quran, your children have fitna and they are also rahmah. And it is the way we take care of the children that will make them either a potential for the society or a cause for the society. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not make our children a cause for the society. The essence of the World Day for the Prevention of Child Abuse is to champion the cause and push for the necessity to rally around to secure the future of the nation. TYMA is an NGO working to ensure that the future leaders are trained in all ramifications. We have to prepare our youth, our children, for the challenge beyond just thinking, nursing them, and giving them their meal alone. We ought to protect them from all abuse. We ought to set the ball rolling for them to change the world into a better place. And that is why today, the topic of discussion is your role in ending child trafficking. For every child deserves to be shielded. The incident happening in Gaza brings to mind why it is impossible, it is imperative for us to protect our children, in which for every 10 minutes, a child is killed. For every minute, children are actually taken out of medical reach. They are deprived of the basic necessity of life: water, medication, and also shelter. We want to also locate this call onto the federal and the state government to ensure that children's rights in Nigeria is actually protected in all ramifications. We want to support the call to ensure that the agency in charge of child protection, child rights, education, and protection from all evil are further strengthening. Today, we have invited an erudite scholar to explain to us what we need to put in place in order to secure our child. We shield them from all evil and we protect them to ensure a greater nation. We also have for tomorrow a walk symbolizing why everybody around should be aware of what we need to do together to protect the children. Again, this is a carrion call to all stakeholders to ensure that the life of our future leaders are well protected. I will keep on shielding the children within our own sphere and ensure that the education, the health, and the environment needed to breed the next generation that will take Nigeria to a next level is provided within the school. We want to welcome you again and hope that you stay tuned to enjoy this discourse and make sure that all lessons within it are also taken into implementation. Thank you. May the Almighty Allah protect you as you listen and you join the team in ensuring every child is actually shielded from child trafficking, child abuse in Nigeria and globally. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, our coordinator, Dr. Abdulgani Adelopo. Now over to you.
Our lecturer for today is Barrister Tauba Akitonde Ni Falade. She is a graduate of Lagos State University, LASU, in 2002, with a BSc degree in law. She went further for University of Ibadan in 2005 for a second degree in law. She has vast experience in judiciary at some federal agencies like NAPTIP. She relocated to Saudi Arabia in 2017. At the moment, she works as a support worker with healthcare company in UK, caring for people with learning disabilities. Thank you very much, y'all. I'm really welcome.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. All praise is due to Almighty Allah, who has given us the opportunity to be alive today. We beseech him to shower his blessings on the noblest of all the prophets, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his household, his companions, and those of us that follow his footsteps till the day of judgment. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Firstly, I want to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share my views, my knowledge, and my experience as regard human trafficking. I've had the opportunity to work as an intelligence officer, or let me say a legal officer, with a federal government agency in Nigeria for a period of 9 years. And I must say that my experience while working as a legal officer with National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons exposed me to a lot of ills that children are being exposed into in modern times. Well, my topic today, the topic I'm going to be discussing is your role in combating child trafficking. Everyone deserves a shield. The question I'm going to ask firstly is, what is child trafficking? Majority of us, we've been hearing it, or what is human trafficking, so to say. Well, I would just want to give an example for those of us that don't actually know what it is. I would just want to give an example what it actually is. Imagine a child who is in the comfort of her home and is being forced by either a relative or somebody that is known to her that there is a promise of a better opportunity abroad. And this child, under the guise that, oh, of course, I want a better life for myself, I want to enjoy the good things of life, is being trafficked out of the comfort of her home to another country and is being exposed to sexual abuse, so to say, or is being introduced into the world of sex trafficking, whereby she's being told by the trafficker to sleep or to have sex with about 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 men per day. And the proceeds of that prostitution is being collected by the trafficker. This is what actually human trafficking is about, or human trafficking for the purpose of sexual exploitation. So today I'm going to be discussing what human trafficking is, or so to say, what child trafficking is, and I'll be talking about the key elements. What are the factors that have made people to be trafficked, and what are the indicators? How are we going to know that this person is about to be trafficked? What are the effects of child trafficking, and what are the solutions? These are the topics these are the subheadings that I'll be discussing today. Can you all hear me, please? Hello? So, first of all, human trafficking is being regarded as one of the fastest growing crimes in the world. It's been said that human trafficking is the second largest crime apart from drug trafficking. Why is this so? This is because it is a situation whereby whenever victims of human trafficking, hello? It is so because whenever victims of human trafficking, whenever they are trafficked to other countries of the world, they are either used for the purpose of sexual exploitation, it could be for the purpose of forced labor, they are being forced to work under a condition that is dehumanizing or inhumane to their well-being. Or it could be...
Hello, we can hear you. Go ahead.
It is so because whenever victims... So, like I was saying, it could be they can be enlisted into the army to work as child shoulders. It can be a situation whereby they are being forced to work as domestic help inside homes, various homes. And it could be a situation whereby they can be forced to start begging on the streets. They are being used as street beggars. These are all the things that the traffickers use human beings for, most especially children. Then, what is like I said, it is one of the fastest growing crimes around the world. It has been referred to as modern day slavery. Why is it referred? It is due to the fact that victims of human trafficking are subjected to all forms of inhuman and degrading treatment in the hands of their traffickers. Whenever the victims of human trafficking are taken away from their home, they are subjected into a condition whereby they are being dehumanized. That is why, because sometimes they are being faced with a situation whereby they are being changed whenever they refuse to carry out the biddings of the trafficker. The trafficker is the person that actually takes somebody away from the comfort of his or her home and now decides that I'm going to either use this child either as a domestic help, or I'm going to force this child to engage in prostitution, or I'm going to use this child as a street beggar. It can be a situation whereby or be enlisted into the army. These are what the human traffickers use all those children for. And I want to say that it is not only children that are being trafficked by the traffickers. Sometimes women too are trafficked, and it has been recorded. Research has shown that out of 10 people that are being trafficked in Nigeria, majority of them are either children or women. So for all the cases I've seen, majority of the victims of human trafficking are children. So as I was saying, human trafficking can take place either in the country or outside the country. There might be a situation whereby a person might be living in Abeokuta and is being brought to Lagos under the pretext that, oh, I'm going to give you a better condition of life. What you are doing in Abeokuta is not good enough. I'm going to ensure that you are enrolled in school. I'm going to make sure that you attain greater heights in future. These are the deception used by the traffickers to ensure that they deceive their victim, to ensure that they follow them to wherever they are going. So it takes, sometimes it can be inside the Nigeria, it can be outside Nigeria, whereby the victim will be taken out of the country to engage in all sorts of atrocities, like domestic help, like forced labor, like being introduced into the sex industries. So then I'll be defining what human trafficking is. Human trafficking, according to the United Nations, is defined as the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of people through force, fraud, deception with the aim of exploiting them for profit. So when we talk about human trafficking, there are 3 key elements that are very, very important. And the key elements are that there has to be an heart, and there has to be the means and the purpose. The heart, before we can say somebody is guilty of human trafficking, these 3 elements has to be there: the heart, the means, and the purpose. The heart is the recruitment, and that is the situation whereby somebody actually meets with maybe a relative and says, I have a daughter abroad who needs who is probably has a company. I need some people to work for him. Then whenever he now meets up with this family, the family now decides that, okay, I have a daughter that has just graduated from the university. Okay, let me hand over my child so that she can go and work abroad. This is the recruitment stage of human trafficking, whereby a victim is procured for the purpose of trafficking in persons. And the means is the transportation, whereby the victim of human trafficking is moved from one place to the other for the purpose of human trafficking. It might be the victim might be living in Nigeria and is trafficked to another country, either an European country, or it might be a country in the Middle East, because this is a global crime. Human trafficking is territorial in nature. It can take place anywhere in the world. So there is no country that is immune from human trafficking. That is one thing I want us to realize. It is something that can take place anywhere. Even we have situations whereby traffickers procure their victims for the purpose of trafficking in Saudi Arabia. We've recorded cases of people being trafficked to Saudi Arabia, children being trafficked to United Arab, Libya, Ghana, Mali. So there's no country that these traffickers don't traffic their victims to. And the purpose is for, I talked about the art, the means, and the purpose is for the purpose of exploitation. After the victims must have been trafficked to wherever they are taking them to, the purpose is to exploit them. And how do they exploit them? They force them to do what they are, what they did not intend to do. And they make use of different means to achieve this purpose. So I want to say that consent is immaterial if the trafficker employ any of the key elements. So even though sometimes a child might say, okay, I would like to travel to Lagos to go and work, but that I'll be paid. But in the mind of the trafficker, the purpose is to exploit the victim. Might decide that whenever the victims get to the destination, they are exploited. The proceeds, whenever they are taken to where they are taking them to, number one of the things that they do is that if they put them somewhere, they will tell them, okay, start working. They will not be paid. Whatever they are earning, the trafficker will collect it from them. And if it is sometimes they introduce them into the sex industry, whereby they will be forced to have sex with men. It could be inside a brothel, it could be inside homes. So it's something that is so dehumanizing to the victims of human trafficking. So then what is child trafficking? Child trafficking is a type of human trafficking. Like I said, the umbrella thing is the human trafficking, while child trafficking is when children are being illegally procured and forced into exploitation, usually for forced labor, sexual exploitation. This could be for organ harvesting. This could be for domestic servitude, or as child soldiers. So most of the time, traffickers prey on the vulnerable children that they know that they need something, and they try as much as possible to provide these things for these victims of human trafficking. For example, it might be they must have seen that, oh, this child, it seems she comes from a very poor home. If I provide her with food, it will give me the opportunity to traffic her. Or probably if I provide her with money or companionship or clothes, then it will be easy for me to actually take her from the comfort of her home to another place for the purpose of exploitation, so to say. So now is I want to talk about the factors that could be said to be responsible for human trafficking. What are those things that makes people to be vulnerable, that makes them to fall as victims of human trafficking? Like, I divide these the causes of human trafficking to be two factors. We have the push factor and the pull factor. When you talk about the push factors are those reasons individuals leave their homes. Why do people want to leave their homes and look for greener pastures? As in things that are pushing them to leave their home. While the pull factor are things that are attractive to people living in other countries. For example, now we have there's this Japa syndrome that everybody wants to leave the comfort of our homes and seek for greener pastures abroad, based on the fact that there are so many employment opportunities, there are better health care, there are good schools abroad. These are the pull factors. So I'm now going to talk about the push factors in details. Like I said, the push factors are those things that makes people to want to leave their home to seek for greener pastures abroad. So when we talk about the push factors, one of the things that might make somebody to want to leave our home is due to poverty. We know that we are experiencing a lot of economic hardship in Nigeria. People are faced with hunger. The parents are unable to meet up with the basic essentials of life for the family. So a child might find herself or himself in such a situation and now say, oh, how? I don't think I can endure this hardship any longer. He now finds himself or herself in the comfort of a trafficker who now prey on the vulnerability of such a child and deceive her to leave her home to another place. And in the process, they are being forced to engage in all these types of human trafficking that I've mentioned, either as a sexual worker or as to be forced into to engage in a forced labor, or to be employed as a domestic help, or to be enlisted as child shoulder. So poverty is one of the factors that have made children to want to leave their homes, most especially those people that live in the rural area. We've seen cases like that while I was working with NAPTIP, whereby the children will say, yeah, of course, the condition of the family was so terrible that when they now saw that there's somebody that could actually render assistance, that have told them that they are going to get a job for them if they come to Lagos, then they are being forced to follow such a person, and in the process, they are forced to engage in a sex, or they are being forced into the sex industry, whereby they will be used as prostitutes wherever they take them to. And another push factor is an abusive or neglectful home environment. This situation happens whereby a child who is being abused in the home, like abuse can be in various forms. It could be from the parents, it could be from a relative, it could be through words that that parents utter to themselves in the family. And this act can make the child so uncomfortable with the situation and want to actually leave the home and look for a place that is peaceful. So when there is a child is being made to live in an abusive environment, it can actually lead to human trafficking, whereby the parents are not concerned about the well-being of the child. They feel that, okay, I'm not concerned. You don't ask about what is actually happening in the life of that child. Or when there's domestic violence in the home, there's a situation whereby the husband beats the wife every now and then. Definitely, the child can find companionship in the hands of a trafficker and be led into human trafficking in such a situation. Another one is insufficient employment opportunities. And this happens in a situation whereby we have graduates in the country. They've been graduate for like a period of 6 or 7 years. They couldn't find an employment, or they are not gainfully employed in anything. Of course, when somebody meets with them and tells them that, oh, I have a job opportunity for you abroad, would you like to go? Definitely they will want to jump into such an opportunity, and that might actually lead them into the world of human trafficking. We have another situation which is a push factor: poor medical care. We have a situation whereby there is political instability in the country. When there is war, and that war has led to a series of killings whereby the child parents are being killed. He has no relative to take care of him or her. Then he might actually be compelled to leave his home and seek for greener pastures outside. Then now I'm going to go to the pull factors. The pull factors, I said, like I earlier said, that the pull factors are those things that have made, that people see in other countries, that may want them, that might make them to want to leave their homes and seek for greener pastures elsewhere. Like when they see that, oh, there's no job in the country, like in Nigeria, majority of the graduates don't have job, they don't have anything to do. And now they found somebody who says, oh, I have a job for you abroad. And that job, if you make up, you can make up to like maybe $10,000, equivalent of maybe 10 million a month. Of course, somebody will want to jump into such an opportunity and follow such a trafficker. Then another pull factor is educational opportunities. Sometimes we see a lot of advertisements on the internet whereby people will advertise that there are educational opportunities abroad, and sometimes they will even say that it is free. Of course, everybody wants a good life, and in such a situation, they are trafficked. So then religious freedom, political stability. When a country is stable, people will actually want to travel to such a country and live a better life. And another one is freedom of expression. A person might actually wants to leave the comfort of her home and seek for greener pasture when they know that if they travel abroad, they are free to express their opinions without being condemned or without being persecuted by their home country. So these are the factors that have made people to actually want to leave their homes in search of greener pastures abroad. So I'll now go to the common methods used by these traffickers. Like I did mention that one thing I've noticed about the traffickers, as in those people that actually take people out of the comfort of their home, is that mostly they are either family members or friends or somebody in the neighborhood that is aware of the situation of the victim. The trafficker might actually have seen a situation whereby the family is going through hard times and will now use that situation to penetrate into the family. I want to give an example. like there was one situation that actually happened in Nigeria. This was a child who was in her SS2. She lived with her mother, who was a single mother. There was no father to support the mother, and she was about to write her WAEC the following year, and there was no money for her to be enrolled for WAEC. This child actually now saw that in their church, she has been told that the pastor used to assist people to travel abroad, also to see, she used to assist people to get job, and she wanted to use the period of her holiday to get job so that she could save up for her WAEC and enroll for the WAEC, because she doesn't want to miss out on WAEC. She wanted to write WAEC the following year. So when she heard about such an opportunity, she told her mother that, mommy, I know that you are really struggling for us. I know you've been trying, but I heard that there is the pastor in our church used to assist people to travel abroad. So the mother actually followed her to meet with the pastor, and the pastor now told her, yes, that I used to assist people to travel, but that it is through one of my friends. And that friend happens to be a Muslim. That, okay, this, my friend, is the one that is actually in charge, but I'm going to hand you over to her so that you discuss with her. So the mother actually met with this other person, and the person promised the child that, okay, you are going to travel. Although initially what she was promised was that she was going to work in Nigeria, but as time went by, she was told that the job is actually in an European country, whereby they will export what's it called, palm oil to other countries, and by the time they come back, they will give her profit from the sale of that palm oil. The child was actually trafficked from Lagos to Libya, and while she was on her way to Libya, she kept asking those people, I thought you said we are going to travel abroad. Where is the how are we going to go? Are we going by road? Are we going by air? She was told that she was going to go by air, and that they were going to board the plane when they get to Kaduna. On getting to Kaduna, they told her that, okay, there is still an opportunity, that the person that ought to have prepared the visa for them couldn't secure the visa, and that they were going to go by road. And the victim actually believed these traffickers. By the time she realized it, she has found herself in Libya. And this was a girl that was like 16-year-old at the time. She was still a virgin, and she was forced into the sex industry by a trafficker. And by the time she started engaging, initially she said she refused, that she wasn't going to engage in prostitution. But, by the time she got there, the first thing they did was for them to lock her into a house. She was being prevented from going out. They will lock her from morning till evening. She doesn't have access to anybody in the house. She cannot talk to anybody. She was being beaten. She was being battered. She faced all sorts of inhuman treatment in the hands of a trafficker. She was starved. She was not given food. She said she was not even given food for a period of 3 days. And because of the situation she has found herself, she was forced to engage in prostitution. And while she was recounting her story, she said she was made to sleep with up to like 6 or 7 or sometimes 10 people in a day. And our trafficker will be waiting for her at the door for her to give her whatever money she has realized from the prostitution work. But she said there was this particular day where she was fed up of the whole thing, that she was being forced to sleep with men. And there was this particular day she couldn't just tolerate it any longer, that the person that was supposed to have sex with her that particular day, she had to beg that one to allow her to call her mother in Nigeria, because when she got to Libya, her phone was seized, so she doesn't even have access to her phone, so she couldn't even tell her parents, her mom, what she was going through while in Libya. And it was through that guy that she called her mom to tell her what she was going through, and the mom now reported the case to us. And of course, the people were actually the pastor and her friend were arrested and were given a kind of they were told to ensure that the girl the girl is released by the trafficker in Libya so that she can come back to Nigeria. And it was after the arrest that these people actually called the traffickers abroad that they should ensure the release of the girl. And this was how the girl was repatriated back to the country. This was a pastor in the church. We've also had cases of one Alaja too, who actually trafficked people to Libya as well. So it is not about how I believe this person cannot do this to me, but it is about not trusting anybody because you don't know who they are. Another case I want to talk about is the case of another woman who was actually in the comfort of her home. She was not even seeking help. This was a matured woman. She's a married woman. This married woman was in the comfort of her home, living with her husband, and a neighbor just knocked on the door and told her that there's an employment opportunity in, I think in Russia, I guess, in Russia, if she would like to go, and that she had a relative who lives in Russia and owns a school and wanted to recruit teachers from Nigeria. This was a woman who was not seeking help from anybody, but because of the fact that she has seen that this was an opportunity for her to be a big person in life, she decided that, okay. In fact, she even probed, she had to probe further to ensure that this job opportunity that she was about to be offered abroad is a genuine one. They even showed her the picture. They showed her the picture of the school she was going to be teaching. They showed her the salary, everything that they have prepared for her. And that was how this woman left the comfort of her home, leaving her husband and her child behind to seek for greener pasture abroad. And when she got there, she was introduced into prostitution. So the issue of trafficking is not only synonymous to children. Young people, women are also trafficked. So by the time this woman also got there, she was introduced into trafficking in person. She was able to escape through one of her customers while in, I think, Russia, I guess. And by the time she came back, she had already contracted HIV. So these are the methods used by traffickers to recruit their victims. More often than not, what I want to press further is that most of these traffickers, I would say about 98% of the traffickers are either family members or somebody that is known to the victims. A random person cannot just come to you and tell you, I have an opportunity abroad for you. Of course, you want to think twice before you jump on that opportunity. So it is usually the family members or two close relatives. Then we have series of cases like that. Then another one is through false job advertisements. whereby some people will tell you that how we are recruiting people for a certain job if they would like to get employment. And because of the hard economic situation, somebody will want to jump on that opportunity. What I'm trying to say in this situation is that I'm not saying there are no genuine job advertisement, but if actually you want to travel abroad for the purpose of seeking employment, ensure, do your findings very well to ensure that it is a genuine one. It is not false, because we've had cases whereby they will advertise and they're actually false job advertisement. They are not genuine in nature, and the victims are introduced into labor exploitation. It is not only sex that these victims are being introduced to. Some are even forced to engage in forced labor, a task that is very, very strenuous for the well-being of a particular child, like a child being forced to work in a company and is being made to carry an heavy equipment. Definitely is going to have an adverse physical effect on that child. So it is men that are actually victims of this situation, whereby they will say, this job advertisement will say, okay, we need people that wants to go and play football abroad. We need professional footballers. And people seeing that job advertisement, they fall victims. We have seen cases like that, whereby they will tell them that, okay, there is an opportunity of playing in a particular club, in one of the clubs in Europe. And by the time they land themselves in Europe, they are being forced to engage in forced labor. When I talk about forced labor, that is a kind of job, a manual job that you are being forced to engage in, not something that you actually want to do. And the proceeds that you make, the money that you make from that job, is being collected by another person. Because by the time they get to where they are taking them to, definitely it is the trafficker that will collect all the money. So also is the case of victims who are being introduced into the sex industries. They are subject to the control of the traffickers, whereby it's the trafficker that will collect their money. They don't have a life to themselves. They cannot decide anything by themselves. It is the trafficker that decides everything for them. And whenever they are being introduced into such situations, some of them can be fed up with life, because it is a very dehumanizing situation that most of them have found themselves. It's dehumanizing in the sense that it is the trafficker that will give them food. If the trafficker says, oh, you cannot eat for more than once in a day, that is what they are going to eat. And they don't have a say. And by the time the trafficker says you cannot leave your house where you are, that is what is going to happen. So they are subject to the dictates or the control of the trafficker. So another way that another common method used by these traffickers is through social media, whereby they will tell you, there's opportunity here. You know, all these things that we watch on social media, whereby they say, if you do this, do that, you are going to, if you travel to a particular country, all these things are just make believe, so to say. They are not so in reality. And if one jumps on such an opportunity, one might find himself or herself in a situation whereby he's being trafficked for the purpose of being introduced into the sex industry as a domestic help. Then there's the issue of adoption. Like, so to say, another method or another tactics that is being used by this trafficker is that whenever they get their victim, they usually tell them that if you tell your parents that we are taking you, you know they will not want you to go. And that will be the end of a lifetime opportunity for them. So majority of these victims, whenever they are leaving the comforts of their home, their parents are usually not aware, because they've been deceived by their traffickers that if you tell your parents, then you will not have this. That of course, the parents might want to probe further to know whether the person taking their children is a genuine. So by the time a child hears that, you wouldn't want to tell his or her parents about such an opportunity and will now follow the trafficker and be led into trafficking. So that is what happens in most situations. And another one is through the traffickers also make use of control mechanism. Control mechanism in the sense that before they take their victims out of the country, this happens mostly in Edo State and the southern part of the country. They will take them to an herbalist, whereby they will be forced to swear to an oath of secrecy that where you are going to subject yourself to the dictates of your madam. They call them madam. The traffickers are called madam. That the oath of secrecy, that you are going to subject yourself to the dictates of your madam, and that whatever they ask you to do, you are going to do it, and that you are not going to reveal to anybody anything that has transpired between you and your madam. And that anytime that you try to divulge or try to tell anybody about what is going on, then you are going to die. So when a victim or when a child has been deceived by this herbalist to believe that whenever she reveals what she's going through, that she's going to die, of course, that child would not want to tell anybody what he or she is experiencing. And that is the case that we have experienced with most of our victims. Even after being rescued from their traffickers, they are unwilling to actually tell security agencies or the prosecution agencies about their experience because of the fear of dying, or because of the fear that maybe the trafficker is going to attack any of their family members. So more often than not, what the trafficking agency does is to cancel these victims so that they will be able to open up, because they have been made to believe that, oh, if they have been taken to an herbalist and they have sworn to an oath of secrecy, definitely they wouldn't want to die and they wouldn't want anything to happen to any members of their family. So they have been made to believe that anytime they reveal this secret, they are going to die. And we had to go through series of counseling before these victims would actually open up to actually testify against their traffickers in court of law. So these are the common methods employed by the traffickers. Another one that is so common nowadays is through seduction and romance. And this happens in a situation whereby maybe a 15-year-old, or it can be a university undergraduate, maybe I've seen somebody that, oh, I love this guy, the guy will now toast her and she will agree. And the guy actually doesn't have a genuine interest in actually maybe marrying this person. The main purpose is for the purpose of trafficking. There was this incident, I want to give an example of seduction and romance. There was this incident of a LASU undergraduate who was in a 300 level, and she met a guy when she was in school, and after being with the guy for about 3 months, the guy actually convinced her that, okay, now that we have been dating for 2 or 3 months, I think it is better for me. This is the right time for you to come and meet my family. under the pretext that, okay, I'm going to meet this child family, the lady actually followed this boy to a place, I think in Osun State, so to say, maybe Ikire, and she was killed by her boyfriend. She was killed and all her organs were removed. This is another ploy or another means used by traffickers to get their prey. They will tell you, I'm in love with you, then they will now take them to another place and execute them and use them for rituals. The guy was, the security agency in such a case, they were able to get the guy because the guy actually collected the girl's phone and sold it to another person. So they were able to track the girl's phone, and that led to the arrest of the boy. And the boy was actually prosecuted, and she confessed that she actually lured the girl to Osun State for the purpose of organ harvesting, and that she was going to, the purpose was not for her to actually marry the girl, but the purpose was not for him to actually marry the girl, but to use the girl for organ harvesting. So these are the cases, or these are the realities of victims of human trafficking. There are so many cases like that. I've seen cases whereby children, like this one happened in, I think, Abia State, whereby this child, although the parents were not able to provide for her basic needs, her father was the only sole carer, and the mother was late, so she doesn't have a mother. So herself and her younger sister, they normally go to a particular place where they will go and help a woman to wash plates. And in the process, they met a woman who actually used to show interest in them. Whenever the woman comes to that place to eat, she will give them, money to buy things. She started providing companionship for them. And in such a process, they were being trafficked to Abeokuta for the purpose of sexual exploitation. So these are the realities of victims of human trafficking. Then I want to talk about the effects. Like I said, the effects are so enormous. By the time these victims are rescued, more often than not, they must have been suffering from psychological effect. Sometimes they go through emotional trauma, psychology. Some of them must have contracted HIV, some of them physical abuse. These are the effects of human trafficking. So then I now go to the solutions. What are the solutions? How can we prevent human trafficking? Number one of the solutions is that I said educating our children and other members of the public about the dangers of human trafficking. Then that we should beware of strange friend requests or social media. Children should not hide anything from their parents. So whatever you are going through as a child, we should always tell our parents so that they will be able to tell us how to go about it. Don't say, I want to keep it to myself because somebody has told you to do so. And that we should always be aware of advertisement that seems too good to be true. Then we should always also know the warning signs of trafficking, like I've mentioned above. I want to say that if then as parents, we should ensure that we give our children listening ears so that whenever they are going through any form of problem, they will be able to confide in them, and providing them with the basic things of life. Then promotion of peaceful coexistence in the family. Like, this situation wouldn't have arisen if there has been a peaceful coexistence in the family, if the parents, if the children were able to tell their parents what is actually going on in their life. Probably they wouldn't have found themselves in the hand of their traffickers. And another form of human trafficking that I want to talk about is the case of Ike Ekweremadu, who was convicted for organ harvesting in the UK. This is another form of human trafficking. So I want to say these are the solutions I've just mentioned, and that whenever we have seen any signs of any sign of human trafficking, that somebody is about to traffic another person, we should not fail to alert the appropriate quarters when we see any sign. So that is going to be my own contribution on how to prevent child trafficking, or how to combat child trafficking. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much. Jazakallah khairan. I'm calling on the next person. I'm calling on Sulaiman Enito Haminu. He is a man of many parts. ICT specialist, professional man skills, public writing.
Yeah, now start again.
I'm going on the second person. Sulaiman. Jazakallah khairan. A big thanks to you, man. I'm going on the second person, man. Sulaiman Enito Aminu. He is a man of many parts. ICT specialist, professional salesman, public policy analysis, policy formulation expert, a trainer of security personnel, go by gold advocate, and more. He is presently a member of the government committee called State Community Policy Committee and the Southwest Youth Coordinator of the Police Community Relation Committee. Thank you very much. You can go on, sir. Please, I will need your attention, Mr. Sulaiman Enito Aminu.
Effectively, Emma tẹ̀lé. I change spotlight. So I wanted. Remove spotlights. This wasn't clear. Yeah. Go ahead. Yes, thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan to the anchors of today's program. Today, once again, remains the World Day for the Prevention of Child Abuse 2023. I want to appreciate the Young Muslim Association for this opportunity and for making this making time out to ensure that they also participate in a global sensitization against child abuse globally. Particularly, I am of the interest in this particular thing, your role in ending child trafficking. Every child deserves your shield. And I want to appreciate the fact that the first discussant had discussed extensively on this particular topic. But we also need to understand another perspective of this particular topic. And that is a perspective of child trafficking, which does happen online. Online child trafficking. We need to understand that child traffickers are simply people who steal children, who pretend to children, who lie to children about things differently, try to ensure that they see things from a different perspective, and eventually trying to take advantage of the children wrongly. They are now online using so many different strategies to ensure that they catch these young people. You know, the young people in recent times are the technology generation people. And these technology generation people go online to make friends, to chat with their friends, to expand opportunities and frontiers available to them, and to ensure that they live a better life and a civilized life. And for such purposes, they make new friends, see new places, people who stay in those places, and try to link up with them. So what traffickers do is try to ensure that they present the world as a very juicy place to these young people online, and also try to show them the fact that they can give them the opportunities to come and experience this goodness, which they see online, which they see on here, which they see on social media in different places, with or without the consent of their parents. Funny enough, some of these traffickers are used to pretending to young people that they have goodies for them, that they like them, that they love them, that they can give them a lot of good things, especially when they are keeping this relationship secret or private. And in that instance, you come to realize that young children will begin to keep secrets that they do not need to keep, will begin to hide things they do not need to hide from their parents, and you start seeing that they begin to isolate themselves from their immediate environment into the technological devices in which they have access to. So usually we call this online child abuse or online child trafficking, and it is becoming much more prevalent in recent times. You know, social media has become part of the life of everyone. The fact is we just need to sensitize ourselves. And for young children, you need to understand that on social media, you are going to have friends that you know, and you are going to have people applying to be your friends, people you don't know. But you need to try to ensure that people you don't know, you don't accept them into your friend circle. And when they even find their way into your friend circle by mistake, whether they hack a friend's account, they change a friend's details after that, and they now become your friend on social media, try to ensure that everything they try to present to you, you do not digest them alone, but you call your parents, call your guardians, and inform them. Somebody chatted me online yesterday saying something good is in UK, something good is in US, that I can travel to Canada. Although the person has told you to keep it secret, but it is very important for you to know that when they tell you keep it secret, there is something dangerous behind it. So please, secondly, try to ensure that as young people, when you are taking pictures, don't take pictures that shows the address of your house. If a trafficker is someone in your locality or someone that can come to your locality, when they see the picture of your house and you took the picture outside your house with the address of your house, they can easily trace that address. So you see that some houses have labels. Number 1, this street. Number 2, this street. Number 10, this street. Try to ensure that you don't take pictures in those places. Also, try to ensure that you don't tell people who you don't know where you live. In short, if you tell people who you know where you live, ensure you are telling them physically and not online. People you don't know, who just chatted you up online, who is presenting so many goodies to you, and you tell him, I am in Lagos. Or he asks you, where do you live? You don't tell him. You tell you, okay, I am in Kano. When he told you I am in Kano, he's expecting you to reply that me, I am in Lagos. But once you say I am in Lagos, you begin to expose yourself. You say, this is where I live in Kano. The next thing, you can say, oh, you are in Lagos. I do come to Lagos once in a while. I know K2 in Lagos. He has told you he knows K2 in Lagos. You now say, you know what? Me, I don't stay in K2. I stay in Idumota. You have begun to expose yourself. So try to ensure that when they are trying to push those information at you, you try to shift backward from those information and also inform your parents and guardians about whatever is happening. Let us understand that child trafficking can be voluntary and can be involuntary. At times, young people believe that they are suffering me at home. My parents' wahala is too much. My guardian's problem is too much. I want to go somewhere and go and enjoy my holiday. I want to go and relax. And I don't want my parents or guardians or siblings to know about it. Please, when you begin to also think you want to go somewhere and you don't want your siblings to know about it, then you most likely expose yourself to somebody who will be willing to steal you out of keeping secrets. Okay, follow me to this place. I'll take you to this. I'll take you to that. You visit this, you visit that. And before you know it, if you fall victim of keeping that secret and going with that person, the person is going to cause a lot of harms and dangers to you. I will tell you about those harms and dangers later. Involuntary can be when people try to convince your parents, talk to your parents, talk to you, this, and even when you are not interested, they'll be finding ways to force you. Involuntary can also be kidnapping. They could kidnap people at times, and you will hear a situation where someone was kidnapped in Oyinbo and was eventually found in Osun State, or his body was found in Abuja. That means somebody has kidnapped that person, taken that person forcefully away from somewhere to another place. So at times, when you think you are only unveiling your information about your location to that person, and you are telling that person, me, I'm not going where you want me to go, just come, let us see ourselves. Come, let us see ourselves. Might be an avenue for that person to say, okay, I have come, let us see. Enter my car, let us sit down and talk. And from enter my car, he will wind up and he will drive off. And before you know it, he has crossed to Ibadan. He has crossed to Ogun. He has crossed to Ibadan. And he has taken you far away from home. And before you know it, he has locked you into one house. That means you have become stolen. You have been kidnapped. You have been trafficked. So at the same time, we need to understand that these traffickers do it for a lot of funny reasons. Just like the first discussant said, at times they do it to take young people into sex trade. You will see some hotels in some other places that you will see very small children there. They will be using small children as prostitutes in hotel. Those small children, when you engage them and talk to them, they will tell you, some of them will tell you, I don't know home again. Some of them will tell you, they took me away from my home. I only know I was in Lagos before. But which state is this? This is Kano. Which state is this? This is Ibadan. They will say, I don't know any other place in Ibadan. This is my father and mother in Ibadan. The person that stole them, that trafficked them, is now using them for prostitution. Also, they use them as child shields in places where there is danger. You will hear that Boko Haram kidnapped somebody. They stole the person from Abuja. They took the person somewhere. People don't know where the person is. They will now use the person to be blocking themselves. When they see that soldiers are after them, they will now say, soldiers, if you shoot us, you are going to kill these children. You are not going to kill us, shoot us. Before you can kill us, you kill these children. That is what they call child shields. They will be using them as shields to cover up a lot of criminal activities. Also, they use some of these children as child house helps. They will steal some children, kidnap some children, tell some children, you will go to Lagos. I will take you to Lagos. You will go to good school in Lagos. You will enjoy in Lagos. You will not be suffering again. You will not be fetching water again. And before you know it, they take them from their villages, bring them to Lagos, And in Lagos, they are only bringing them to Lagos to come and become house helps. They take them to Abuja to come and become house helps. They will bring them to one house. They will tell them, in this house, you really want to wash plate, you really want to wash the children's cloth, you really want to sweep the floor, you really want to do this, to do that. At times, they even give them the privilege of taking them to school. And at times, they just don't take them to schools. Out of the fact that someone is claiming to you that, yes, don't worry, let me take you to Lagos. In Lagos, you go to a good school, you enjoy, you do this. You realize that if you mistakenly follow that person, at times, those persons will even tell your parents that let me take him to Lagos, this. Those who have followed those people in the past, and if you also follow them, you'll be going into Lagos to become house helps, to go and start working in someone's house as a slave. And when you commit any small crime, or you don't even commit any small crime, or it is even their children that commits the crime, you'll be the one to suffer for the crime. They will beat you mercilessly just because their children pour food on the floor. And they said, you saw it there and you didn't clean it. And the children will even say you are the one that poured the food on the floor, and nobody will be willing to hear from you. So at times, you need to listen and understand how this thing goes. Also, the previous discussant had talked about organ trafficking. At times, some of these people have one problem or the other, and they are looking for people who have similar things that can help them. But the best way they can do is, if we take this child from, and we take him to Lagos, and we eventually extract or harvest his organ, and we use it for the other person. And if the child even dies, we tell his parents that he died now, and the parents will accept it. When they say organ trafficking, what it really means, or a best explanation, is the fact that, let's say somebody has a kidney problem or a liver problem, and they are looking for a kidney or a liver that matches with his own. Somebody has another problem, and they are looking for another person's parts that matches with his own. They have now been looking about. They now looked at, this person's own. As I'm looking at this person, his own parts might match that one that we are looking for. Okay, let me go and talk to the parents and try to convince him that I convince the parents that let your child follow me to this, to that. I will do this, I will do that. Eventually, when you follow such people, you will realize that at the end of the day, they will take you to another place, they will take you to an hospital, and before you know it, they would have removed one part or the other from the body of that person. This type of incident had happened to so many people. It has happened in so many cases. And I want us to understand that globally, even in the white people's country, in Europe, in Asia, in America, in London, people take people from Nigeria, take them to those places with great promises, only for them to get there and they will go and remove their organ and use it for another person that has problem. Then that person, they remove this organ. If the person likes, he should die, they will not take care of that person again. They will say, I tried now. If I tell his parents I take him to US and he ran away, he has run away. They can't look for him again. I can't look for him again. And instead, they were the one that killed that person. So I want young children to understand that when people are promising us that they want to take us to places, we need to be very careful. When they are telling us to keep secrets away from our parents, away from our guardians, away from our brothers and sisters, we need to understand that these people are very dangerous. At times, these people take young children to countries where there is war and start using them as soldiers. If we are short of soldiers, these young people, they will not know. So when they take them there, they will now tell you, see, take gun. If you don't shoot the soldiers, they will kill you. They will now push you to the field. And before you know it, you become soldiers who are young or who are not meant to be soldiers. So all these things are things we want to prevent, and we want to ensure that we make efforts to sensitize the public about. So thank you very much for joining us today for this webinar. I want to also appeal to the world, and especially the world leaders, to bring together stronger legislations that will be protecting young children against every form of trafficking, that will also punish traffickers and also make child trafficking go into extinction. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Prevention of child abuse, and from TYMA, the Young Muslim Association, the theme this year is your role in ending child trafficking. Every child deserves your shield. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for the lecture. Now we're going to be moving to question and answer. You can write your questions on the comment section on the YouTube channel. Now one of the questions from the YouTube channel is, when can I report a child trafficking case in my neighborhood? Another question is, if my parents are always abusing and fighting each other, what can I do as a child? Another question is, can child trafficking be founded in secondary? Can child trafficking be found in secondary schools?
How?
Can child trafficking be found in secondary schools, and how? Thank you.
Hello, assalamu alaikum. Well, to report a case of human trafficking, there is a federal government. Hello, can you hear me, please? I said to report a case of human trafficking, there is a federal government agency that is saddled with the responsibility of preventing and prosecuting cases of human trafficking, and that is National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP. They have a website on the internet. Once you just type in the name of the agency, that is NAPTIP, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, you'll find their numbers there that you can call to report any case of human trafficking. They have offices in almost all the states of the Federation. I know as a fact that they have zonal offices, like they have an office in Lagos, also in Edo. Now they have state offices in Abeokuta, in Osun, Ondo, Akure, and I know as a matter of fact that they also have offices in other states too. So once you just type in the name of the agency, which is National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, once you type the name of the agency, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, you'll find their numbers there. If it is Lagos, just type NAPTIP Lagos, then you'll find them there. Then there was this question. There's this question about if a woman, if child trafficking can take place in school. Well, there's nowhere that child trafficking cannot take place. A person can be lured into child trafficking while in school. It could be maybe a visitor in the school that will say, "Hi, I like this girl. Would you like to do this? Will you like it?" And in the process, that child can be trafficked. So there is no way that child trafficking cannot take place. Then there's another question as regard that if my parents are always fighting with each other, what should I do? I think the best thing is to actually report such a case to a family member, or maybe if there's an imam, a respected imam in the community, that the case can be referred to, who will help them to settle their disputes. I think that's the right thing to do in such a situation. I think I've answered all your questions. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much. I think that nobody has any question again. So I want to call the person for the vote of thanks and closing prayer. Haji Abdul Hafiz Sholate, the National Health of Education and Training, TYMA. Thank you very much. You are welcome.
Oh, this live is still video now.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما. We give thanks and praises to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has given us the opportunity to host today's event. May his peace and blessings continue to be upon noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his household, his companions, and all the believers who follow him until the last day. Once again, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all our invited guests, especially our guest lecturer, for taking our time out to enlighten us on what child trafficking is all about, the dangers, and how it can also be prevented. So we thank you for honoring this invitation, and we look forward to having you again in future in some of our other programs. I also like to thank all our anchors that have been in the studio, and also those that are at various studios across the nation, the various viewing centers we have, where we have the coordinators and the children attending the program. I want to express my sincere appreciation to you all. And I will also want to use the opportunity to tell you that this is not the end of the program. We still have our work tomorrow, which is going to take place nationwide. So endeavor to be there with us. Those of us who are in Lagos, is going to take place at Allen Avenue roundabout. From there, we walk down to Alausa Central Mosque. So this is just to create awareness about the dangers of child trafficking and child abuse. So let us keep a date with that. So we thank Allah once again for giving us the opportunity to be here, and we pray Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not make this the last of the event we are going to host. We pray continue to protect us, protect our children, protect our parents, and also all the believers globally. We also pray for those who have been victims of this child trafficking or child abuse in one form or the other, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will heal their pain and free them from the bondage in which they are. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين. جزاكم الله خير.
TYMA.
TYMA. Faith and Guidance.